big shout out, Justin Trudeau, if you're watching the show today. Shout out to you. You've really opened a lot of people's eyes here in Canada to how bad governments can be. And you've created a lot of great Bitcoiners. And that's gonna go forward in a very positive way. I know it's hard to see right now, but if you're from Canada and you're watching the show today, keep your chin up. Keep your chin up. Things are going to be a lot better in the future for us. And again, we still have it pretty fucking good here. Like, that's what we have to keep in mind is, yes, we have an absolute dipshit as the prime minister. We have a journalist as our finance minister. We don't need to get into it. But anyways, it'll change. Governments change. It's going to take a long time to recover from, but on the other side of it, we're going to be good. So speaking of governments, Elon shared this last night, and this is one thing I've been talking about recently on the show is government. And I posted about it on Nostr as well. And I just said, like, a lot of Bitcoiners have this very negative look on government. And they think that, 10 years from now, there's going to be no dollar. We're going to be on a Bitcoin standard. Countries are going to go away. Governments are going to go away. And I think that that's very naive to think. It's never going to happen. It's just not. And the point of that, though, is that not all governments are bad. Like, we're kind of at like the furthest end of the pendulum swing here in terms of how bad it can be. Not only with their policies and what they're trying to control, but with the size of the government. Like, I swear to God, half of Canadians work for the government. So when you're working for the government, when you're getting a paycheck from the government to literally do fucking nothing, most people in government, then yeah, of course you're going to support them and you're not going to question anything and you're not going to, ruffle any feathers. So that's the size of government is the problem, not government itself. And so Elon shared this clip yesterday, and I share very much the same sentiment as this. So let's watch this video here. 2 minutes long, but it talks about the size of government being the key.
I'm not an anarchist. I believe in a government, but a limited government. And the government should be limited, in my opinion, to very simple functions. Number one, to defending the country against foreign enemies. I have tried for a long time to see how to make national defense a private enterprise, and I've never succeeded. It's easy to see how to privatize schooling, but I don't know how to privatize national defense. A second function of government, and one which it performs very, very badly, is to protect the individual citizen against abuse and coercion by other citizens, to keep you from being hit over the head, mugged on the street, your house broken into, and so on. And I believe that the government performs that function very ineffectively because it's doing so many things it has no business doing. The third function of government, a very important function, is to define the rules of the game we play. What's private property? If an airplane flies 10,000 feet over your house, is he violating your private property? If he flies 10 feet over your house, is he violating your private property? There's nothing natural about where the line should be drawn. So we have to have some mechanism for making the rules about that, and that is an appropriate government function. And fourth, it's appropriate for government to provide a mechanism for adjudicating disputes about the meaning of those rules, a judicial system. Those are the four essential functions of government, in my opinion, and those are the only functions that are essential. There may be some other areas in which, if you started with nothing more than that, government might conceivably do more good than harm. But from where you are now, if you could only move back in that direction, it'd be marvelous.
It's exactly what I'm talking about. So again, and I don't know if there's anything actionable that we can do from this other than just changing our overall perspective and expectations and mindset going into the future. But just don't expect that government's going to completely disappear and things are going to be structured. If the governments all went away tomorrow, it would be fucking chaos. It would be. I know that we'd probably figure it out eventually, But between then and now, it would be complete and utter chaos. So I think that that's something that we should be striving towards. I think that that's something to look forward to in the future. And a big part of, this is another thing that really drives me crazy about the whole Kamala is good for Bitcoin because it's going to accelerate Bitcoin. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And there's so many influential Bitcoiners who are saying that right now. But on one side, you have one government, Trump side, who wants to make the government smaller, who wants to get rid of the Federal Reserve, who was at the Bitcoin conference talking about mining, talking about self-custody, meeting with miners. And the other side of things, we're going down the same path. They want to increase government. They want to create all these different departments, keep flushing through this money, keep sending it overseas. Hates Bitcoin. The last 3.5 years, they've made Bitcoiners' life living hell, and they can make it a lot worse than it is. So it's like, how do you look at those two options and think even remotely that side could be good for Bitcoin? So actually, it was Elon who shared that, and it's Elon who's been talking about his Doge department in the US government, which means Department of Government Efficiency. And he said that he would cut 80% of the government if Trump hired him. He did it with Twitter, and it seems to be working just fine. So there you go. Don't be crazy. Don't think the government's going to go away. And don't think that we need it to. I think that's a real point that I wanted to get across there. Is that don't think we need to get rid of the government in order for us to be, going well here.